Welcome on in to the Ultimate Browns. I'm your host, G. Bush. We got a great show planned for you today, but we got to get to it. Coaching searches is well on the way. Browns are bringing people in. Browns are interviewing multiple people from across the spectrum, and we're going to let you know today how you should be decoding and looking at this Browns search. And I got a top candidate already. That's already in the dugout, and I'll tell you exactly why that candidate leads the top of the list for me. We talk Mike McDaniel, we talk about John Harbaugh, we talk about all things coaching search, and we'll do it right here on the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. You're listening to the Ultimate Browns. Welcome on into the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's your boy G. Bush right here with the Ultimate Browns. We are in the full swing of the coaching search, and we're going to talk about all things coaching searches coming up here. There's been a lot of rumors, a lot of conversation, a lot of talk, and we'll get to who I think is a realistic option for the Cleveland Browns and the top candidate, I think, going into some of these preliminary conversations. Mike McDaniel has been he's been tapped on the shoulder. He's a name that we know is great at offense, but is he going to be the next head coach for the Cleveland Browns? He was brought in for an interview. We'll talk about why he is the ultimate wild card in this coaching search. And I'm kind of mixed. I got a mixed emotion about Mike McDaniels. We'll talk about that coming up later on. John Harbaugh is the talk of major coaching searches all over the country. He's believed to be one of the top candidates for any job that he pretty much wants. We've heard the Falcons. We've heard the Giants. We've heard his name mentioned with the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk about whether or not he's a realistic option, why or why not for the Cleveland Browns. We'll get into that. And then before we do any of that, we got to talk about how we decode the Browns coaching search. What is it that we need to understand and we need to look at when it comes to the Browns coaching search, and why and how we need to look at the candidates and filter our emotions in our conversation? First and foremost, the thing that we got to get to is we got to understand, and before we can get to legitimate coaching options and before we can get to who we really actually believe is a good candidate, we have to understand a couple of things. First and foremost, Andrew Berry is a guy who Kevin Stefanski outlived. And, you take a look at it and you look at Andrew Berry. He was the last man standing between him and D. Podesta. And Jimmy Haslam came out and talked about what those reasons were. I think we can continue to litigate that, or we can move forward in the conversation and try to figure out what does this mean for the next head football coach. I know a lot of people have been doing around and everybody got a hot take on why the Browns are dysfunctional, why the Browns need to do this and why the Browns need to do that, and they can't get out of their own way. Anytime there's a change made at the top of the food chain, there's going to be some growing pains. I wish Kevin Stefanski nothing but the best of luck. I'm not saying that Kevin can't be a great coach somewhere else and resurrect his career, but he's moved on. The Cleveland Browns have moved on, and they've already set a path to trying to figure out what's going on. The Cleveland Browns need to find out who's the best candidate for the Cleveland Browns. And sometimes that best candidate is fitting what you're trying to do organization-wise. And it's easy to be a guy who says the Browns are dysfunctional, Browns don't know what they're doing, the Browns, they're just clueless. I don't know why Andrew Berry is here. I don't know why Kevin got let go. I don't know what Jimmy Haslam is doing. But if you just look, and you understand and you start talking about this coaching search, the thing we got to get to is saying that, look, man, the Browns need to go into this thing with a positive attitude and saying we're going to come out and pick the best candidate that's enthusiastic, that's energetic, and wants to be the next football coach at the Cleveland Browns. For way too long, we keep talking about whether this job is great or the job is good or it needs to be the most optimum position for the job, and it has to have the quarterback involved. And the crazy part about it is what they've been telling you, and a lot of people have been telling you inside the organization, is you saying, well, we don't know. We don't know what the Browns think about the quarterback. We don't understand what the Browns think about the quarterback. Well, if you listen to and watch what the Cleveland Browns doing, they're telling you what they think about the quarterback. Because if the Browns believed in Kevin Stefanski over what they had in the building, Kevin would still be here. If the Browns believed that there was all these other options and all these other great things, they would be going out making moves and doing a bunch of conversations about moving up. Heck, they got the 6th pick. If they love the draft picks and love the guys, they could go draft a quarterback. But the thing is, they're not going to do that. We got to come to the conclusion that just because we may have or you may have a question marks about the quarterback position doesn't necessarily mean that the Cleveland Browns haven't seen some things on tape that they can get excited about with Shedeur Sanders. And I think most people can say that. Most people can watch the games and see that there's some throws being made, that there's some things being done, that the Cleveland Browns won some games down the backstretch. Maybe that's contrary to what the narrative was put out in the beginning of the season. It's contrary to what you may want to see as an individual. But the Cleveland Browns have put some solid things on tape. They put some solid draft picks in specific spots on this team, and they have some young talent. They have some capital. But the thing that we're talking about is we keep talking about how bad of a job it is when we don't use that same analysis when it comes to regular everyday life. It's about getting the opportunity. It's about sometimes there can be people that are transcendent, that if you get the right position and you get the right energy behind them and you get the right pieces and parts, and you breathe some confidence into people and you get behind people and you coach guys up. You're not looking for a finished product. You're ready to roll your sleeves up, come in here with an enthusiastic attitude. 90% of what you do and these guys do is all about attitude, innovation, and togetherness. You'll be surprised what you can do if everybody is on one accord and believe. And the thing that I watch with the season this year is I watched during the playoffs, I see the Carolina Panthers. Nobody was high on Bryce Young. Nobody was saying Bryce Young and the Panthers are going to do anything. I thought they acquitted themselves very well. I thought they played a heck of a game against the Rams. And you see what they did? They went out and drafted a young receiver, and T-Mac. And they played the Rams, who is a Super Bowl contending team, down to the final gun. There's a team that goes from worst to first every year. Yeah, the Patriots got Drake May, but you don't feel like, hey, I got a veteran coach in Vrabel that came in that infused some things. I got a veteran play caller in Josh McDaniels who's had a track record of success in this league. A team that was drafting high the last couple of years. The coach just got fired. But guess what? They brought some things in, they drafted well, and they put a new emphasis on things that they wanted to see, and guys bought in. Look at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears spent more money than anybody protecting Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams didn't look great last year. They brought in a new coordinator, new head coach, and guess what? They draft Roman Duze. They draft Luther Burton. They get 2 good running backs. They draft Loveland and got Cole Kmet. And guess what? They look a lot better, don't they? See, the problem with the Browns is we keep looking around, but we don't like the answers that's in front of us. The answers that's in front of you is dedicate your time to finding talent up front. Dedicate your time to getting some weapons around and sit in there and get me a competent play caller. The thing that we've done in this coaching search is we've absolved Kevin Stefanski of his blunders when it comes to play clock management, when it comes to communicating with his team, when it comes to being penalized, when it comes to being out of a stale JV playbook we've been talking about for 3 years. We've somehow absolved him of that and made it seem like he was great in those areas. Kevin Stefanski didn't get railroaded. Kevin Stefanski contributed to the reason why he's no longer the head coach. He contributed greatly to it. So when we're looking for the next coach, instead of looking and trying to find a candidate that look good, that sound good, find me a candidate that actually believes in what you're trying to do, that believes in what the guys are in the locker room, that believes that they can be transformative. I want a coach that believes that they make a difference. I want a coach that comes in that looks at the players and finds 6 or 7 guys that they think that they can win something with. I want a coach that is ready to come in and motivate and coach and teach and be a leader, not a guy that's trying to ride the coattails of a franchise quarterback and come in and have the easy way out. And for everybody that's asking and jumping up and down, telling me, "Oh, they only got one more chance in this league. They don't get a third chance. They only got one more chance in the league. Why would they take this job?" Let me tell you something about chances. Some people don't get the first chance. You sitting there telling me how bad your job is. You think Eric Bieniemy, he ain't got a chance to be a coach yet. Jim Schwartz isn't getting hired by nobody else. Jim Schwartz isn't getting offered interviews. There's a lot of people that's running around talking about what they wouldn't do based in fear. I want to go to a place based on giving me the opportunity and feeling like I'm special enough to make a difference. Stop telling me about the statistics. Stop telling me about what somebody else did. Tell me what you feel you inspire and you can do and make a difference in the organization, not what the statistics tell you. See, we've been beat down by L so long that we just don't even believe in nothing. The only way we think we can do something in Cleveland is if we luck into Peyton Manning, we luck into Tom Brady. No, you don't luck into anything. Those guys developed. Those guys didn't come out finished products. And it's laziness. It is sheer laziness the way we talk about quarterbacks. Because we talk about them as if they're unicorns that come out and they're already, when they come out of the womb, when they are born, they're born with the intangibles and come out and throw for 4,000 yards when they're a toddler. Go back and look at the games and the 6-7 games that your favorite quarterback. And I'll show you 6-7 games of any rookie quarterback. And guess what I'll tell them? I'll show you not a very good track record. And the game isn't a straight trajectory. It's ebbs and flows. You think everybody had a straight up and down trajectory? C.J. Stroud didn't. Jaden Daniels didn't. Drake May didn't play well his first year, playing well now. So it's all about finding the right fit. And for a lot of people, I think we're getting caught up in with the statistics and no, we don't live life by numbers. Find me a guy that can inspire other people, that wants to challenge, that wants to put his name in the legacy books, that wants the opportunity to coach a football team, and find me a reason why you should be excited, and whether or not to give me 17 reasons why this is not a good opportunity and it's not a good job. Listen, Cleveland, stop buying that noise. It's a person that go from worst to first every single year. Why can't it be you? Why can't it be you? It can, but you gotta find the right people. You gotta invest in the right people. And the big thing you gotta stop doing is stop running around trying to look for a savior and develop. Your coach has to develop and deliver. Your GM has to develop and deliver. Your quarterback has to develop and deliver. Your offensive coordinator has to develop and deliver. Across the spectrum, you need a team to win, not just a quarterback. It sounds good in principle. It sounds good when you're talking over the water cooler. But when you in them trenches, and I'll show you show me a good team that's playing, winning good, I'll show you a good coaching staff, a good surrounding roster, and a good quarterback. But you got to put your own work in around here, homie. Newsflash. Any coach that's coming into a job vacancy, it's going to be inherent problems, because guess what? You don't get a chance to be a coach by somebody not getting fired. Somebody got fired because there was a problem with the team somewhere. It's up to you to figure out the solutions and bring the energy to the table. When we get back, one of the guys that is being mentioned is John Harbaugh. Does he have the energy in his system at this age to put it in a rebuild and bring that energy every single day? I'll tell you if I think John Harbaugh is a realistic hire for the Cleveland Browns when we do a comeback right here on the Ultimate Browns. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest moments, and how could tracking their trends help you build your next big bet? What would it look like to combine live prop bets mid-game based on how action unfolds? How could a $200 bonus in bonus bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? New to FanDuel? It's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It is G. Bush right here with the Ultimate Browns. One of the things that we've been seeing in the conversation that we've had so far is that the Cleveland Browns have been talking to individuals such as John Harbaugh. And, there's been some rampant speculation as whether John Harbaugh is actually interested in his job, or the Cleveland Browns, are they a realistic opportunity or a landing spot for John Harbaugh, given the fact that his age and where he is in his career and the trajectory of what the Cleveland Browns need in terms of a slight rebuild and actually something that, the Browns are in a position where Harbaugh is not. Harbaugh has been listed as a guy who's been one of the best coaches. He has had an MVP on his roster in Lamar Jackson. He's won 2. He could have won 3. You had a consistently strong running game with a Hall of Fame, walking Hall of Famer, and Derrick Henry. And you've been with a team in the Baltimore Ravens who you've won a Super Bowl championship with, and as a perennial guy to be a Super Bowl candidate. Why would you want to mess around and come in here and play around with the Cleveland Browns? I'm not sure if he has that in his purview. Let's take a look at this. This is on 92.3 The Fan on Twitter. This was Scott Petrak. He talked about this on Basket and Phelps with Darryl Ryder filling in. He says, Andrew Berry talked about finding a coach that fits where the Browns are in this transition period. I don't think that fits with what John Harbaugh is. He's 63. I'm sure he wants to win right now. And this is some of the things that I talked about on UCSS today, was the fact that when you look at it, it's all about the trajectory. I made a joke and said, man, listen, if I'm, if I'm divorced or if I'm not with my wife and unfortunately I'm widowed, or God forbid any of that type of stuff happens, I'm not going to be a 44, 45-year-old dude running around in the club with somebody 25, 26. It's not going to work for me. It's not going to work. I need somebody that understands where I'm at trajectory rise in my life. I need to be with somebody that understands intimately what it is to not have no energy for all the foolishness. I ain't got no time for the growing pains. I don't got no time for trying to let you figure it out. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. You're going to have some growing pains. I can't be arguing at 11 o'clock at night. I got to go to work in the morning. I need somebody that understands that same type of energy. I'm bored. Whoa. What you mean you bored? You're going to have to figure that out yourself. Yeah, well, I'll get you a puppy or something. And I ain't even going to do that because I'm going to end up having to take care of that. So at this point, when you have Harbaugh and what he is, he's a coach that's primed to win. He's a coach that expects to win. He's a coach that wants to go back and compete to show the Baltimore Ravens, you tripped. You let me go. You really need to rethink this, because let me show you what I'm doing with this team. And for him, it makes a little more sense to say, I want to go coach with a team that's a little more ready, a little more readily available. If I take a look at the two rosters and the two positions, I look at it from a standpoint of the Giants. Giants got Scatterboo looked pretty good as a rookie. He's coming back off injury now. Malik Neighbors has shown some things. He's coming off injury. But you got Jackson Dart. You got, a lot of studs up front on the defensive line. It is a big major market. It's a team that is has a little more solidified in some other places, and it's a huge market. If you want to put yourself back on TV quick, New York Giants. Take a look at the Falcons. Falcons are where you got some, Pitts, Drake London, actually Bijan Robinson. They got some stuff. I don't know how you feel about Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins, but the Falcons have some stuff. They play in a nice dome. You ain't got to worry about the outside games. Baltimore, snowing and things like that. That could take a toll on you. One of the things that you look at with Lamar Jackson, his style of play, running around. Maybe he's looking for another guy that's not running around doing a lot of different stuff and having to do it outside in the cold weather. So there's some options for him other than where we talk about with the Browns. Now, I do think this, and I talked about this on the show too. This is an opportunity, I think, is one of them things that you find out in corporate America. You take the interview, and both sides kind of already understand that the other side is really not truly interested. I think, it's a fact-finding, situation for Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam. You can bring him in an interview, and he'll give you your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. You bring him into an interview to get his thoughts on how they go about doing their thing in Baltimore, your systems, your operations, your scouting, how you go about player acquisition. Like all acquisition, it's about a lot of different things. And so you can gain a lot of information and intel from a guy who's a division rival, knows your program, plays against you twice a year, and you could do some self-scouting. Also, for a win-win situation for Harbaugh is, hey, they didn't already had rumors of he wants $20 million, 10 for his staff. He goes in and, he gets Jimmy Haslam to, talk and hey, Jimmy is offering me $25 million. He's also giving me free reign and giving me some opportunity to control the roster a certain way. So now you take those little things and those offers that you learned that you got from the Browns, and you take that right to the Falcons, take that to the Giants, take that to the Raiders, and say, hey, what can you offer me? The Browns has already offered me this over here, and Jimmy will do it. He gave Deshaun that bag. So it's a win-win situation. I think when you boil it down and you look at both sides, I don't think this is a situation where both sides is actually super interested in one another. It's just part of the interview process. A lot of these candidates that are getting jobs, this is a good look for them because they get their name in the news cycle. They get their name out there as guys that are on the radar. We used to do this in corporate America. There's 3 or 4 positions that I applied for that while I was in the company in corporate America for 8 to 10 years. And there's jobs that I applied for that I knew I wasn't necessarily qualified for, but it's a good opportunity to go in there to show that you can think at a higher level, that you could interview well, and to get your name in rotation. Hey, Garrett came in here. I didn't think he was going to, be as prepared as he was for the interview, but he had a lot of good ideas about revenue. He had a lot of high level ideas about our operations or our development or developing his associates or incentive programs and different things like that, increasing revenue. So you go in there, you show that you can think on that level, you show that you have interest in leadership, and now your name is in the mix. Hey, and just guess what? It keeps me motivated. It keeps me, hey, they gave me the interview. Now, if I don't get in that department, I could go to another department and say, hey, I was up for a candidate for this position. Because I didn't get it there, my name may be floated for another position. So a lot of up and coming coaches go into these interviews as a way to get their name out there and a way to show that, hey, like I have aspirations. And it's also a way for the organizations to talk to young minds. some of these young guys have very innovative thought processes and very creative. Maybe you may not hire them this time, but guess what? If it's a really great interview and it was a vibe, maybe down the line, a couple of years later, your name comes up and now you are the candidate because you've shown that you have the ability to really do a good job and convey what you're all about. So I think a lot of these times it's just about basically going through the process, and the process is important because both sides can really gain some knowledge from the other. There's a guy that I think actually is a more realistic candidate, but he's a wild card. Mike McDaniel. The Browns are interviewing him coming up, and I'll tell you why he's the ultimate wild card for this situation. We'll do it next, right here on the Ultimate Browns. Make sure you're checking in about Cleveland Cavaliers. Very nice win the other day. Cavs have tried to put some things together. They've won, I think, 5 out of 7. They had a big-time win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game was sold out. So hopefully the Cavs are getting it to a point where they're starting to kind of get into the flow and get out of the funk a little bit. They've been hampered by the injuries. But if you want to know the latest on the Cleveland Cavaliers, make sure you're checking out Jason Lloyd. Make sure you're checking out Mikey McNuggets on the Ultimate Cavs. The only place you can get the Ultimate Cavs is right here on UCSS. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the notification so you know where all of our content are coming out. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. It's your boy G. Bush right here at the Ultimate Browns. As you can see right here, we're interviewing Mike McDaniel for our new head coaching position. He was just let go a little bit ago, a couple days ago by the Dolphins. I have mixed feelings. And the mixed feelings come from just his past here in Cleveland. Now, if you don't know, Mike McDaniel was one of the individuals that was, had spent some time with the Cleveland Browns. And he just so happened to have been around when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. Now, allegedly, and, some people have talked about this, Mike McDaniel was one of the guys who helped write the PowerPoint presentation, the very infamous PowerPoint presentation to which Kyle Shanahan asked for his walking papers out of Cleveland. So I don't know how involved he was with it. I don't know, what it entails in that. But he's a very interesting candidate because of two things. One, he does fit the description and fit the billing of a guy who has previous head coaching position. He's had some success in the league. He's known as a very good offensive mind. And he potentially can be a guy who can either serve as a really good offensive coordinator if he does not end up with the head coaching position. Now, when you look at Mike McDaniel, there's a couple of things that give me pause, right? There's a couple of things about his philosophy as a quarterback guy. He had some issues with Tua. He played Quinn Ewers some, but the problem was it just seemed like, they never solidified anything with the quarterback position. It never seemed like the offense quite clicked like it was supposed to with Tua. Now, Tua is not perfect at all. I mean, he's we talk about wild card. This guy is he's a dude with a bad contract too. And teams feel like they probably can't win with Tua as a franchise quarterback. So there is not all on Mike McDaniel, but the thing that's different to me is if you're going to move on from Stefanski, you kind of want the opposite of what Stefanski was. Mike McDaniel is not that comes off as a person that holds people accountable. He doesn't come off as a person that's willing to get in people's faces. Doesn't come off as a guy that's going to be a rah-rah dude and you're really encouraging, getting guys fired up to run through a wall for him. And he seems like a guy who kind of is aloof in a certain situations, and he's been here before. And while he was here before, he didn't have the best relationship due to some of the allegations and some of the whisperings that he helped Shanahan create the PowerPoint to get him up out of here, saying why the Browns organization was dysfunctional. Now, not saying that you can't change, not saying that you ain't learned from your mistakes, and not saying that he's not a different person at this point. I just have mixed feelings of saying, okay, I just saw you. We beat you with Dylan Gabriel running a wild dog. I'm confused. I think Tua threw like 4 picks that game. One was a pick 6. I'd feel much better if Mike McDaniels was my fallback plan. I would like it much better if he was the fallback plan as an offensive coordinator. I'd have no problem with the offensive coordinator because I do think he's innovative. I think he could adapt. Now, I know people talk about, hey, they want a robot back there. It's yet to be seen what his philosophy is when it comes to quarterback play and whatever it is. But the one thing that I will say is, out of all of these candidates, one of the candidates that to me stands out as the candidate that is the most plausible at this point is Jim Schwartz. Now, I know people want to say, well, Jim is not getting interviews from nobody else. Jim ain't outside. Nobody in the outside organization is thinking about bringing Jim in. So if other teams on the outside ain't thinking about it, then why would we? Listen, let me tell you about this. This that inferiority complex again. No other teams around the league have a 5th round quarterback. We drafted him in the 5th. No other teams are interviewing Jim Schwartz. Remember I told you about that? Stop worrying about what other people are doing and start worrying about what you got going on in your building. Start worried about what you can do differently for yourself and what fits you the best. If you look around any of these candidates, Jim Schwartz fits better than all of them. You want to know why? He checks a lot of boxes. He is a former head coach. He's done a tremendous job while he's been here with the defense. He's had top 3, top 5 defenses. He's Myles Garrett, who's your best defensive player, just broke the sack record under him. Carson Schlesinger, who's going to be the defensive rookie of the year, has just done that in his system. Malik Collins had a great year before he was getting injured. Mason Graham was coming along. Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, both had great years. Devin Bush had one of the best years of his life, his career. If you have all of that success, what are you doing? And we talk about ego all the time, but think about this. It's a difference between if John Harbaugh wants to come in and say, I'm not sure if I want Jim Schwartz to be in here. I'm not sure if I want to roll with Jim Schwartz. I'm not sure if I want to bring my own staff. There's something to be said for guys who have had a track record, run a Super Bowl, and been highly successful in this league. But if you telling me I got these Minimowski coordinators that I'm interviewing, some of them which have not even called their own plays in this league. Some of them who are young, wet behind the ears, young dudes. Back in the day, we said, hey, I smell a Similac on your breath. You a youngin'. Why we feel like we about to give all these youngins all that energy? You ain't going to eat, bro. You don't got that cachet. You ain't even called no plays. And you trying to tell, I want to bring my own. No. Listen, you don't get to do that, bro. It's levels to this. And my thing is, you can't think of it like this. We always thinking of it adversarial. We've thinking about it if we just want to throw some stuff in the game. Listen, man, what you want to do is you want to make it easier for a fresh-time head coach. If you're a first-time head coach and you're trying to figure out the play calling, you're trying to figure out and get acclimated to 53 new guys. It's a new organization. You're trying to set your culture. You still trying to do clock management. You're trying to figure out what we're doing in the draft. You're trying to figure out how to just drive to the facility in a new city. But you want all the control? That's the problem. Control is only as good as the results that control gets you. If you can control the offense, the defense, do everything, not miss no penalties is good, special teams is crispy, you ain't got no discipline off the field. If you can do all of those things and be competent, then okay. But if you can't control all of that and you're swimming and you need help, why would you take the ego approach and say, I want my way when I want it, when all you got to do is lean in and make my job easier? If Jim Schwartz already got a defense that's already popping, that's already got people in the locker room likes him, why would I alienate the locker room by going to bring somebody in that ain't even as good as their job as him? Makes no sense. That's why you're looking for collaboration, you're looking for innovation, and you're looking for synergy. You're looking for allies, not adversaries. You're looking to make your life easier, not more difficult. Take the layup, bro. Hey, cool. Especially if it's an offensive coach, cool. Hey, Jim, do your thing. Let's stay right. If you can get Myles Garrett to do what he did this year, have at it. You get Carson Schlesinger or Mason Graham to take a step, have at it. Come on. So when people get mad, I can't believe the report is that Jim Schwartz, they're telling guys that they prefer to have. Of course. What's wrong with that? But it's just the way you look at it. It's the way people couch things. Sometimes we get so emotional and the emotions be getting in the way of what's best. The emotions get in the way of success. The emotions get in the way and you start getting all that ego and bravado and that extra stuff. And then it don't become about winning. It becomes about you being right. Give me the win. I don't care nothing about being right. Give me success. I don't care nothing about what you. Come on, guys. I actually think about it. I believe that Jim Schwartz is the ultimate fallback guy. I believe Jim Schwartz is the guy that we may swing for the fences with Harbaugh. We're going to bring Mike McDaniel in to see what his philosophy fit. But push come to shove, I already got Jim Schwartz in the building. He checks a lot of boxes. He's popular. He's good at his job, and he wants the opportunity. And that's the biggest thing. Give me somebody that believes in what we got, and they believe they can inspire and get them to another level, and they want the opportunity, not the easy way out. They want the opportunity to coach the Browns. I don't want nobody that wants to coach the Falcons. Go coach the Falcons. I don't want to deal with nobody that want to coach the Raiders. Hey, I wish you all the best of the luck, or the Giants, or the Cardinals. I want somebody that's honestly able to look me in my eye and say, I believe in X, Y, and Z. I believe in this team. I believe in what we're trying to build, and I believe that I'm the guy to get them there. That's what I want. But what you want should be to get more episodes of Ultimate Browns. If you want to catch the Ultimate Browns, you catch me every single Tuesday. You know where to find me at, right here on the Ultimate Browns. With that being said, you never know when G. Bush might show up, radio, television, or internet, but if you want the fresh cut on sports, you know I'll keep the Clippers with me. You guys have a great rest of your evening, and as always, like we continue to say, it's always, go Browns.